cooped up in this tiny little office with just one window out to the world. I'm excited to talk with Lindsey Ofcacek, who is the co-founder of the Lee Initiative based out of Louisville, but we're going to talk about the widespread impact that it's having across the country, as well as Thomas Bolton, who is the distillery diplomat. I love that title, at Maker's Mark. Thank you both for being on.
Thank you so much for having us. What an honor to be episode 50.
It's a big deal. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Yesterday was supposed to be episode 50. She is now going to be episode 51 because technology. She got a gig working on a food truck. She's like, should I go? I was like, yes, go. Get paid, go feed people, whatever you guys are doing. Please do not give a shit about this little show. You'll be episode 51 and we'll all be okay. So I'm excited that serendipity had you guys be episode 50. I think it's apropos for sure. So, all right. The Lee Initiative, this show we're all about why and who before what and how. So let's get into the why and who. Lindsey, if you could just tell us, why the Lee Initiative in this moment and give us just a little background because it's a completely different mission in this very moment than what it really had been in the past. And then who it is you serve and who's kind of making it all possible.
Yeah. So the Lee Initiative was a very small nonprofit up until about 5 weeks ago. We had started 3 years ago in the midst of the Me Too movement hitting our industry. It was honestly founded between Edward and I sitting in an office and saying, okay, the light that is being painted about our industry is terrible. Yeah. This shit is awful. But this is also not our story. And for every bad chef, there are an army of good ones behind them. So what do we do? Like, what's the best option to help our industry right now? A month and a half later, we were a 501c3 focused on mentorship. I have been in the industry for 20 years. I'm raising my family in this industry, as is he. All of these things were made possible because we had great mentors and we had great people that we worked for that cared about equality. They cared about, they didn't care if you were a woman. They cared if you worked hard and you wanted to rise the ranks. So they provided all of that support and we had a huge network. The founding mission of the Lee Initiative has always been to come up with creative, forward-thinking solutions to tackle whatever problem we were seeing. Fast forward really quick, and 6 weeks ago, women in leadership, although it's still important and it'll be a part of our rebuilding piece, currently feeding our industry and taking care of our family is the most important thing. So restaurants closed in the state of Kentucky on March 15th. It was a lot sooner than we thought. We looked around at our resources. We had food. We had really great partners. Maker's Mark has been our partner for, since the beginning of our foundation. We had a bunch of people that wanted to cook and wanted to work. So 23 hours later, we had a grocery store relief center, which was housed in my wine cellar. And we had 250 hot meals to pass out.
Unbelievable. Look, we use all these terms, these phrases now like they're normal with social distancing, or these acronyms like PPP and SBA and EIDL and things like that. And the word pivots, everyone's like talking about their pivot. And it's just like, I don't know what that means. None of us know what that means. Yet in that moment, you knew exactly what that meant. You took a very major pivot.
Well, yeah, honestly, that we're not doing anything different than we did before. We're still just feeding people and supporting our industry. It just looks differently.
Yeah, I like that.
Still
hospitality.
Yeah, it's still hospitality. And that's one thing we try to tell people too, like, if you need food, please come to us. You're also giving us something to do. We really just want to feed people.
Isn't that the purest and simplest form of hospitality? And again, the why and the who stuff, like why we do what we do, all the flash of our restaurants and all the steps of service and the hospitality and high touch and all those things. At the end of the day, just like making somebody feel a part of your community, appreciated and taken care of and nurtured. It's like all that we have right now. And it's really crystallizing that it is truly what actually matters. And so I appreciate that. And so talk a little bit about then who you're serving. Who is it that you're feeding? And then we'll start with that and we'll get back into, because I want to get a little bit, Thomas, back into who is actually a part of the initiative on kind of the restaurant side, but who is it that you're feeding?
Yeah. So the first day we opened, we had no idea what to expect. At 4th, we had planned to open at 5. At 4:30, we had caused a traffic jam around our block. We opened at 5 o'clock, and we saw a lot of families. These were the most vulnerable to the situation. We had no idea how many diapers and how much formula we were going to be handing out. These were people that we didn't really know, they weren't close to our hospitality circle per se, but they were part of our industry and we love them nonetheless. As the weeks have gone on, we've started to see more people that we do know and people that are accepting aid for the very first time in their life. A big part of what we do at our centers too is we want to get rid of that stigma. You do not have to wait until you are desperate for food for us to feed you. Just come. Spend your money on something else. Come and see us. We want you to be here. Our boxes have things like Oatly milk and micro roast coffee. They're higher end things because we want you to know we love you. It's normal. This is temporary.
Yeah, I hear you. It's funny when you think about the hospitality industry, we're so hustle and grind all the time. It's one of our greatest strengths. It's also a challenge and a weakness sometimes, right? The way it plays out. And so it's really difficult to ask for help. And so I've been talking to a lot of people like, this is not charity. This is the hospitality that you have earned and paid in being repaid to you. So I really appreciate hearing that. Thomas, for you, there was no hesitation from Maker's Mark. It was 23 hours and they needed support and funding and infrastructure and all those things. And you guys came to bat right away. Why for you was that mission critical for Maker's Mark?
For me, I'll talk about me personally, and then I'll move into the brand as a whole. I was in the service industry for over a decade myself, mostly behind the bar, before I made the switch to the brand about 4.5 years ago. And, these are my friends and family that were hurting. So it was important to me because it's friends and family. It's important to the brand because without servers and bartenders and restaurants, the bourbon industry wouldn't be where it is today. Without those people that were, in the 80s and 90s still talking about bourbon when all it was, vodka and soda and vodka cranberries. It was the bartenders that were the ones talking up bourbon and helping elevate it to what it is today in the United States. And they've done that for us for so long, it's time for us to help them. And the fact that I work for Maker's Mark is a big blessing because they knew that this is what we need to do, and they acted fast. And for a big brand like Maker's Mark, or really any brand to act as fast as they did was exciting to see, something you see very often.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And so thinking about then from the brand side and putting so much effort and weight and having your focus and attention, like you are feet on the street, like helping actually make this happen, then the practical side of it. So how is Maker's Mark supporting financially? Is it giving resources and infrastructure? Is it just sets of hands to help boxes? How does that play out?
It's all of it.
Yeah.
Especially for here in Kentucky, once things started shutting down, we knew that we had an opportunity to help because all the budgets that we had allocated these events that were no longer going to happen, we immediately rolled that all together to help support Lindsey and Chef Edward Lee to get this off the ground. And once other markets saw what we were doing here, they did the exact same thing. So we could start opening up very quickly, moving, brand activation from one thing to help the service industry as a whole. And then in every market, there's a Maker's Mark representative that is there to be boots on the ground if you need it. Our distributor partners are the ones donating boxes for us to go out. So it's not just us as a brand, it's the whole alcohol beverage service industry coming together. Whether it's food donations from other restaurants, box donations, feet on the ground, all of that.
I mean,
Yeah.
recently converted their into vegetables they're growing sites so that we can get food.
Yeah, it's really important to have that kind of level of support and infrastructure, and then to be able to empower the people that are actually going to kind of make it happen for you. So now you're rolling out nationally. You're in 19 different cities. So I'm very interested in just who these restaurants are, and more importantly, these restaurants, who these humans, we call them unsung hospitality heroes. Like truly in this moment, we're seeing how heroic it is, because they are vulnerable as well, yet they have no hesitation to jump right in and feed other people. So I really want to talk about that mentality within the industry. So who are the restaurants and the people that are actually making this happen across the country?
Yeah. So we acted really quickly. So it's probably fairly obvious that we didn't have a ton of time to vet people. So we worked with chefs and partners that we had worked with before, people that we knew, people we had a relationship with. Because a common misconception about what we're doing, yes, we are feeding people and it's extremely important to us, but we're also, when we come to partner with you, we do a cash infusion to a restaurant to allow you to grow your staff.
Yeah.
And so the staff is required to serve their community. It's obviously on all your levels, because if you don't feel safe, they don't want you to be there. But we have the partners in each city that we've worked with before. Are we echoing?
So the
reverb on your sound there. All right.
Oh,
is that better?
This is par for the course. It's always something. This is why we got Sarah Carpenter. She's amazing. She's taking notes right now, so we make sure that we don't miss any mission critical stuff as the interwebs potentially fail us. All right. So
yes, people that we've partnered with before, people that we have a relationship with. We also looked at organizations that we trusted. I've been working a lot with V. Spear from the James Beard House. You know, we were funded as a Women Chefs Initiative. That is what we do. So whenever we would go to a city and we didn't already have an existing relationship, we would turn to V and say, okay, like who do you have that's been through the WELL program, or who do you have that's been through the entrepreneurial training program or boot camp or anything from James Beard? Because we know that this chef will be able to activate really quickly and that we can trust them to do this the right way and keep their chef safe.
Yeah, it's been trusted voices through all of this, as there's been so much information, so much misinformation, so many people clamoring to figure out what the hell is going on. To have those trusted voices that are out there important. And V, she's a fucking rock star.
Yes.
Like,
I talked to that woman, like, and one of the, like, my favorite things that's come out of this, which it's weird to have a good thing, I guess, come out of a crisis, is, you know, we talk almost every day. like, oh, you might know how this auction works, or you might have a contact here, you know. And the Beard Foundation has been great to connect us with food purveyors, you know, people that have supplied the house, that do philanthropic work, to say, oh, you have this kitchen in Detroit, I can get food there. Yeah.
And the James Beard Foundation has always been trusted. And also sometimes if you don't know what happens, the depth of what their impact is, you see chefs cooking at the Beard kitchen and it's tiny and there's always a joke about that. But they get to cook for people at this high ticket item. You see the gloss of the awards and so you're like, okay, well, maybe that's not me. Yet in this moment, they are so integrated at every level, supporting from the dishwasher up to the award-winning chef. And so I'm really appreciating that in this moment that the James Beard is showing its depth to everybody out there. So I can appreciate that a lot. And yeah, having V on speed dial seems like the right move for just about anybody.
She's been like, yeah, this relationship, like this plane would have crashed a couple times. So
that's good. Yeah, we count on each other. I think that's important. You know, one of the biggest challenges I continue to see is face-to-face for us right now. And it's such a challenge because we're fueled by face-to-face human interaction. We're like shoulder to shoulder. I talk about this every episode. It is so hard, and people that aren't in the industry don't understand what it's like to have to like say behind and heard and yes, chef on a daily basis, go, and
Yeah.
you need that. You need that. It fuels you. So I can appreciate that. All right, so 19 cities. I want to let people out there know how their city can potentially be a part of this. What opportunities are there for somebody in Dallas or San Diego or anywhere else that hears this and says, yes, we need this. We want to be a part of this. How do they get connected into the work that you're doing?
Yeah, so it's actually really simple. Send us an email. Tell us that you want to do it. And we currently, our funding is being focused on keeping our 19 locations open, because I'm sure you can imagine that we did not know that they would still be open.
Yeah.
When this started, we're like, 2 to 3 weeks. That's not the case. So we're focusing on keeping all 19 locations open, and we're also looking forward to what we can do in the future for reopening. But if you have a brand or a partnership or a distributor or anyone that you work with on a regular basis that isn't being completely slaughtered by COVID, reach out to them. Ask them to invest in your project. Have them help, rehire your staff and start a relief kitchen. We will 100% give you all the blueprints, every best practice. We will give you everything that we have. We will talk you through it and hold your hand. We just don't have any more funding.
Yeah, well, anybody who's listening, who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, that's what it takes. It continuously takes good people connecting good people for good. And keep seeing that play out if and when we actually take a moment just to communicate. And most people think, well, I don't have a restaurant. I don't have a brand. I don't have a name. I don't have a huge network. That doesn't matter. You know one person, you know two people, and that can create a groundswell. So I don't want people to underestimate themselves.
True story. This entire organization started in this attic that I'm sitting in. And we had we didn't know what we were doing. We just knew that we wanted to do something good and impactful. We had a dinner party and we started a 501c3 with $7,000. And now we're fine. So you can get there. We literally had a dinner party. My kid was running around and I was explaining why I could be a mom in the industry because of mentors, and a group of people having dinner pulled together $7,000 and made this work.
That's it. I mean, that's it. It happens with small ripples of just like people giving a shit and like taking one simple action. So they can email you. What email do we need to send them to?
Lindsey at 610magnolia.com. So I also still work at 610 Magnolia for Chef Lee, and we're a very small organization, and I don't have a Lee Initiative email address.
When you get back to work at 610, when you are pouring wine tableside, what you're meant to be doing, when you're educating people on wine, still that 610 Magnolia is going to be blowing up with people talking about nothing that has to do with 610 Magnolia. So I appreciate you putting yourself out there like that, because I know that inbox, I'm sure, is swamped right now, which is really great. So Lindsey, LINDSEY,
yes,
at 610magnolia.com. Definitely hit that up for sure, because it can be that one little connection. And look, you may not know, you may be somewhere across the country and not know exactly what to do, but just email, and then Lindsey will ask you what to do, and they'll figure it out and actually make it happen. And so, Tom, so I'll get back to you. Having this position that you're in a brand, an international brand like Maker's Mark, yet you are so embedded in the community there. Talk about that a little bit, because I think it can also be challenging to understand. Okay, Maker's Mark is a huge, giant company that is throwing money at this thing, and it's good because coming out of this, they'll have more potential customers, things like that. That people can be they can be naive about how much it actually matters to you personally and to all the humans in your business, in your network, in your community that really care. So talk about that a little bit in this moment that you guys are able to have that support on feet on the street.
Yeah, it's I live here in Kentucky, and that's where the brand's home is. It's in a small little town called Loretto. But a lot of people don't know that Maker's Mark was only sold in Kentucky till the late 70s, early 80s. So it's been a Kentucky brand tried and true for forever. That's who helped us get our feet off the ground and start to become and grow into the brand that we are today. For me personally, this is home. This is where I'm raising my daughter. I moved here from Atlanta 8 years ago, and this is it. These are my friends. This is my family. I don't have any family that lives in Kentucky, but everyone I've met, and that's something to say about Kentucky, is like family to me. And so having the opportunity to work for a brand like Maker's Mark, I consider myself very blessed. I'm in my dream job right now. Being able to partner with the Lee Initiative, and that's a key word here. I think a lot of times organizations look for sponsorship, not partnership. Yep. And at Maker's Mark, we partner with people. We don't write a check and walk away. We want to be there with you, like I am with Lindsey right now, working it with you, using our brand celebrity to help grow, what you're doing. And when we find someone who our ideals match, like we do with the Lee Initiative, we dive in feet first 100%, and we are boots on the ground. And we are talking logistics meetings and where to go and how to grow for good and grow the right way.
Yeah, and you bring up a point that I think is really interesting. You do have that brand celebrity, and then Lindsey, 610 Magnolia, hugely award-winning, Ed Lee, between all the restaurants and the TV shows and stuff, big name brand in the chef and restaurant community. And so clearly from those two angles, you're able to leverage that and use that as an asset to your benefit, which is smart and good and should be done. I'm also interested then, it can set a high expectation. And when we just talk about how quickly you're pivoting and trying to figure things out on the fly and running around with your hair on fire, what's that like then to have the responsibility now? You've set the bar very high to kind of deliver the expectation that everyone has, that the Lee Initiative has it together. And I'm not saying that you do or that you don't, but I want people to understand, we're all just trying to figure things out, no matter how together it seems,
Yeah. The last 4 weeks have been completely insane. I was the only paid employee of the Lee Initiative when this started. It was just Edward and I. We now have someone that helps us with social media, and we have someone that helps us with finance, because this is insanity. But we're a small organization. We like to say we're building a plane while flying it. It hasn't crashed yet. There have been fires. It hasn't crashed. But really, this is all about community, and the community support has been insane. It's not, yes, Maker's Mark is our main partner, and they have contributed a lot of funding, but the community match and support has been incredible. And for me, it honestly pointed out, yes, independent restaurants are important, and people love Chef Lee and people love Maker's Mark, but you're a huge part of people's lives. Every restaurant is. Every person has a favorite server at a pizza place where they take their kids on Sundays. Every person has a place where they celebrate their anniversary. And those people have thought about you during this time, because it's a scary time for everyone to give money. We have raised a substantial amount of funds just from community crowdsourcing, and someone saying, I'm not going to dinner tonight, I'll donate $5 to a server or something. It's been an incredible experience to see how important service industry workers are to people. If your government forgot you, I'm sorry, but people care about you. It's been awesome. And I can say we were always afraid to grow as a nonprofit. It was always one of those things of, we're just going to stay in Kentucky because we don't really know. We've always sent chefs all over the country, and they cook at Team Spirit House as part of our program, but it's always been very, very small. What was scary 8 weeks ago is not scary today. There's a lot of other shit you can be afraid of, growth is one of them. So we'll figure it out. We'll bring on more partners. We'll figure out what we're doing. If anyone has suggestions on what would help them reopen their restaurant, we'd love to hear them. You can, again, email me. We're trying to figure this out.
Yeah. So those small little donations that you mentioned, even giving $5, that can create a massive upheaval of support and a lot of fun. So I think it's interesting. We've talked on the show several times about like spend your money now where you want to spend it later. And this is one of the ways that you can definitely support multiple sides of the equation when it comes to the restaurants themselves and when it comes to the communities that they serve, and making sure that coming out of this, the community that supported that restaurant is still financially stable enough to then again be able to support that restaurant. So it's kind of giving full circle.
Well, and I can tell you, yes, we, had initial funding to open these locations and to keep them running for 3 to 4 weeks, more with food donations. But because of community donations, we are completely confident that we can keep all 19 of these locations open through this period. And that was done in very small increments, which is incredible. And also that, we can start thinking about, okay, if we have additional funding, like we can actually help them rebuild and stay open. What does that look like?
Yeah, an important question that'll be pondered and debated again and again and again. What it's going to take for me is always why and who. Like what specifically that'll change, that'll be shifting sands, that'll be a new law and then another new law and then a new round of support, and then that the bottom drops out of that. Yet the community that you create, that's timeless. It's forever for sure. To be able to donate, a website, what's the portal for them to go to?
Leeinitiative.org. And as soon as you put in a monetary amount, it will actually ask you what city you would like to support. Where do you want money to go? And I can tell you we're not an organization where you donate and like 23 cents of it goes to where it's supposed to go. It's 95% will go directly to that city.
Wow. That's a big deal. I want to reiterate that point. Having started a nonprofit coalition ourselves out here in Denver and, supported nonprofits because they didn't understand how to put on events and chefs didn't understand how to communicate with them. Like being a translator is important. It was really critical because there's sometimes doubt for where the money is going. And then you hear these horror stories of 12 cents of the dollar actually goes to the cause. You're like, what the fuck? What am I doing all this work for? Putting money in this ecosystem, putting my name and brand behind it. So I appreciate that, the transparency of it. And even if you told me 85% of it, I would have been fist pumping no other.
It's literally the 2.75% that they charge us in processing fees for credit cards. And then the additional part is how much it costs to host our CRM. So we're not, people need money now. It's not the time to focus on we'll build with this later or pay salaries or whatever. We're tiny, tiny staff. 95% of your money is going directly to the restaurant that you want it to go to.
And the fact that it can go to your city so that you can support something that's creating a little critical mass, it has momentum, it has the capability to push 95% of the money into the support mechanism and also into very specifically your community. So I think those layers are probably another reason that you guys are seeing that success. Give us some of the numbers. We talked about 19 cities, so there's 19 restaurants, and a lot of those restaurateurs have multiple restaurants and they have hundreds of employees. So we're talking about thousands of people across the country that are feeding into this ecosystem. But give us an idea of the number of meals any single location is putting out, or at math, kind of a little bit of that.
So as of this morning, we actually just got our reports back. We've fed 130,000 families through the program. We've completely lost track on how to track diapers and formula and paper goods, but that's not a bad thing. It's just a lot. So we have some locations like our friends at 50/50 in Chicago that are actually feeding, they just hit 20,000 meals. We have, I think Eduardo Jordan in Seattle, he has nights where he feeds 400 people a night. Here in Louisville, we're doing 250 meals a night, but then each week we're doing 1,000 meals to first responders or the VA or TARC bus drivers or, anyone who is essential right now that they deserve a warm meal from someone. And that's a big focus of our program too, that people should think about. This isn't soup kitchen food. These are highly accoladed chefs that put just as much care and love into the meal that we're serving you, because none of us know how to do anything. Well, I'm not a chef, but like the chefs over there are never going to like half-ass a meal. It's going to be something that makes you feel loved and is delicious. So yeah, 130,000 meals, which is crazy to me. Yeah.
It's unbelievable number. And I saw Greg from 50/50 posting that they hit 20,000 meals. Unbelievable. And right when you're talking about Eduardo, I was like, oh man, if somebody got his shrimp and grits as their meal, it would change their lives forever. One of the best things I've ever eaten anywhere in the country.
Yeah, or like Jessica Coslow. I saw someone posted in an Instagram story like the meal that she sent out, and then I was like, oh my gosh, there's squirrel jam and like organic bath soap and like all this fun stuff.
It's unbelievable. And I'm very fascinated when we talked about a little bit what happens next, that we know that there's going to be a simplification of the way that we interact, potentially in how we source our food and all of this. We know that there'll be a simplification. We already kind of saw it a little bit with the emergence of fast casual and just more casual dining settings. And I'm very interested in the chefs, thinking about Eduardo specifically. He's like, how can I feed 400 people my shrimp and grits, which is a high touch, like very difficult dish to execute, all a minute, on the line, all of that. Yet now he's like, I can feed more people more economically and just feed their soul. I'm very fascinated in how that happens. And I think some of the work that you're talking about is going to fuel those conversations of how we say, you know what, it's enough for me to just feed people and be thoughtful about the ingredients and things like that. It doesn't have to be this technique that pushes boundaries every single time.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, like especially I'm really impressed with Greg Backstrom and Olmsted, who's partnered with Hometown Barbecue. Yeah. So what they did is, they partnered with Hometown because they looked out to farmers that were in the Hudson Valley that were having a hard time, and they go and buy whole hogs. They buy whole hogs, they smoke them, on a platform, and then Olmsted is responsible for getting produce and making sides and like stocking the store. They partner together, and they're also feeding, I think, 300 people a day in Brooklyn, 7 days a week.
Unbelievable. I'm so struck and so impressed by the capacity for humanity with our humans in hospitality. Like, it's so unbelievable to me. So really appreciate that for sure. All right, let's wrap this up as we always do with some playlist items. As you guys are hustling 250 meals, plus the inbox is going crazy. And Thomas, you're talking to brand ambassadors and feet on the street all over the country. Lindsey, you're fielding everything from time and making sure you also have time with V. Very important.
Very important.
What is keeping you going? Talk about a couple playlist items. Anything you're listening to as you're filling up boxes, anything to decompress at home. Give us a couple items to recommend for us.
Yeah. So for me, with the Women's Chefs Initiative, one fun thing that we do is every year at the James Beard House, they have a collaborative playlist. So they've switched the playlist, and now it's called Quarantunes. And so I'm highly entertained by waking up in the morning and seeing what someone's added. I had a total dance party to Dancing with Myself this morning, and Don't Stand Too Close to Me.
That's amazing.
I have no time to watch the news, to be frankly honest, which is actually, I've realized, a really great thing. I look at CDC protocols once a week to send out a newsletter to our kitchens to help them stay safe. But besides that, it's very cheesy dance party playlists.
This is perfect. That's exactly what you need. Yeah. Some people have been like, I just listen to 80s all the time. Like, I can't even remember what the songs are, but I'm just grooving the whole time.
Oh yeah,
this
is fun. So we do a Korean barbecue big night in at 6:10, and when you order, you get Edward Lee's classic karaoke tunes of what he likes to sing. Which, if you've ever hung out with him, if you go to a city, the first thing he does is he goes to a karaoke bar and sings. And
this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. I wish we would have queued up a video. That would have been play the video.
Yeah, he's really good at like Adele, Hello, and he's super into Whitesnake. It's hilarious.
I mean, Adele is barely good at that song. That is
he's not good. It's just entertaining.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Heard, understood. I like it.
Entertaining, and if you have any anxiety about an event you're going to go do, it'll go out the window.
We need that. We need that. I love hearing that for sure. And Thomas, for you.
So listening wise, there's a guy local to Louisville called Otis Jr., who's like R&B, hip hop, really smooth. And in this time, like just listening to him just kind of takes you from here and just kind of levels you out a little bit.
Yeah.
I see him around town. I'm a big fan of his, but I've never talked to him. So I'm always like fanboying out, like that's Otis right over there. Listen to him, and then I, don't have a lot of time to watch anything right now, but hopefully we will soon, and I'll get back and start, binging some TV shows.
For sure. Yeah, I like that. Well, you need to get him in sometime and have a little celebrity box off. I think that'd be super cool. Have him in there boxing up some food, stuff like that. Creative ways to engage. Because if you start to get the music community bought into what you're doing, that's a whole big unlock, especially in Kentucky for sure.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. I really appreciate both of you. Again, go to leeinitiative.org to support. Email Lindsey at 610magnolia.com. She is fielding lots and lots of requests for support, and anybody who has any resources, any information, anything, just start a conversation is going to be really important. I appreciate you guys taking the time. I know you got work to do, so thanks to both of you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us. Bye.
See ya.
All right, cheers. Have a great day.
You too.
All right, thanks to them and to you. Again, a couple of technical difficulties with the womp, 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 womp sound, but we'll make sure and get some notes in case anybody missed anything, and we'll link up the dozens of people that are involved, dozens and dozens and dozens of different people, organizations that are involved in this. It's an amazing effort that they have. It's not surprised that they were able to stamp this out, and that several chefs, we mentioned, Eduardo and what he's doing out in Seattle, and Jose Salazar in Cincinnati, good friends, and then all the chefs and restaurants across the country doing amazing work. So we'll make sure and link those up and get out there and support, because we need it in this time. And again, the hospitality industry's ability to care enough to put themselves in harm's way, put themselves potentially in harm's way, put themselves into situations where, they themselves are out of work, they're struggling, yet they so quickly will pivot to doing the right thing. I'm always grateful for it. All right. So here in a little bit, about 20 minutes, I'm going to have Erin Shepard on. She is a chef at Northside Eatery in Denver, Colorado. I was actually really excited that we couldn't have her on yesterday because she got a little gig. She's been out of work, working on our friend Brandon Becker's food truck, Cirque Kitchen. So that was an exciting reason to not have a show yesterday. She'll be on in a little bit. So check that out. And then tomorrow's episode, which is noon Mountain, 2 p.m. Eastern, I have Kevin Mitchell, who is a chef instructor at the Culinary Institute of Charleston and is doing some amazing work as really a chef meets anthropologist meets historian when it comes to African-American studies and specifically around culinary arts. So we're going to talk tomorrow. So appreciate you as always. Be safe. Yeah, go spend some money now where you want to spend it later, especially if you can support the Lee Initiative in any way.